Hey, podcaster. I'm Tim Walberg, your podcast performance coach, with another actionable tip so you can grow your podcast authority, generate leads, and convert with ease. Today's tip is make sure your podcast is sending the right message. If your podcast branding is off, it could be confusing your audience, attracting the wrong people, or worse, turning them away. In this episode, we're talking about 4 red flags that signal your podcast brand needs a rethink. And full transparency, I've made one of these mistakes. More on that in a minute. Here's red flag number 1. Your podcast name is too generic or confusing. Your podcast title is your first impression. If it's too generic, vague, or gimmicky, your audience won't know if your show is for them. We run into this all the time with our clients. They want to have a clever show name, like a baker wanting to call their show Rise. But that could be a religious show, a business show, or even a conversation about thriving. By the way, I only made one of those up. Your show title needs to be clear, not clever, if you want it to attract the right audience and let people know what your brand is all about. You still can be creative, like the baker could call their show Bakers on the Rise or Rise, Growing Your Bakery Business. These instantly tell the audience who it's for and what it's all about. When we first launched this podcast, we called it Just the Tip. Get it? Short tips for podcasters. Clever, right? Well, maybe too clever. First problem, innuendo. Not exactly the vibe we were going for as professionals. A listener was kind enough to let us in that he found it offensive. Not our intention at all. Second problem, too vague. Just the tip about what? It didn't clearly tell people who it was for or what they'd get from it. That's why we rebranded to Just One Tip from your podcast performance coach. Clear, specific, and immediately useful. And before you choose a name, is there another podcast with the same name you're considering? Did you know there are over 250 podcasts with the name Real Talk? Seriously, Real Talk? Come on. This one's an SEO nightmare as well. If your show name isn't unique, you're competing with other podcasts for visibility. Before you finalize your podcast name, Google it, search Apple Podcasts, and check social media handles. And while you're at it, if it's available, grab that domain. Okay, the second red flag to watch for in your podcast branding has to do with your tagline, as in you don't have one. You don't need to stop with your podcast name. You have a whole lot more real estate to play with, so why not use it? This will help tell the whole story of your podcast and, as a bonus, help with your SEO and help you get found. This is especially important if your podcast name could be misunderstood at all. The tagline helps to clarify the value of your show to your ideal audience. If your show doesn't have one, you may be making listeners work too hard to figure it out. So, create one that answers, who is this podcast for? What value does it provide? And why should someone listen? Okay, the third red flag that your podcast branding may be off is that it's not aligned with your personal or business brand. If your podcast branding doesn't look, sound, or feel like your business, you're confusing your audience. Here's an example of a misalignment. A high-end executive coaching brand with a podcast that looks like a YouTube prank channel. Your podcast should reinforce your authority, not make people question if they've found the right show for them. Like, consider your colors, your fonts, and the mood of your artwork and show. If someone goes to your website, does it feel like a match? It's got to jive. And the fourth podcast branding red flag is your description, your titles, and your topics. You need to speak the same language your potential customer speaks. I'm talking about using language that will resonate with your ideal listener. For example, if your audience is high-level executives and your podcast sounds like a college dorm room convo, you might be repelling your best clients. If your audience is creatives and solopreneurs, and your branding looks like a creative training manual, and your content sounds like AI wrote it and recorded it, you're not speaking their language. The key is to, number one, know your audience. 2, show up authentically. And 3, finally, Use the kind of insider terminology, but not over their head terminology that validates your position in their world. So, now that I've shared these 4 red flags, you should be thinking about how to fix them. Do they need fixing? It can be a bit daunting. Many podcasters hesitate because they think that they're going to hurt their existing reach or confuse their existing audience. Most of the time, it's worth the risk because these red flags could be working against you. If you've got one or more of these issues, consider making some changes. 1, choose a name that's clear, not just clever. Research it first. Number 2, create a tagline that instantly explains your value. Number 3, align your podcast's look and feel with your business brand. That might be your existing website. And 4, speak directly to your ideal listener by using the lingo they use. If your podcast brand isn't hitting the mark, your audience is confused, and confused listeners don't stick around, and they certainly don't become leads or clients. And I hope that's just the tip you need. If you're realizing that your podcast branding might be misaligned, the Podcast Tune-Up can help. One of the 6 steps in our process is ensuring your podcast is on brand, on message, and optimized for the right audience. The link to the Podcast Tune-Up is at the top of the show notes, or you can find the Podcast Tune-Up at podcastperformancecoach.com. I'm Tim Wahlberg. See ya!